go real basics. So let's put you guys back here. Let's drop down on the bench and I'll talk you through like real basics of a bench. So all I'm doing first is just making sure I've got a stable base when I'm benching, okay? So all I'm doing, I know we're flitting little bits back, but you're all good. So all I'm doing here is just making sure I've got a nice stable base. What I do as well is, you might not be able to see that on camera, but I keep my legs tucked into the bench as well, okay? They're not flared, I want to tuck them in, yeah? And then all I'm doing is making sure I'm just under the bar. So this bar is literally just on my forehead. So just in front of my, sorry, just behind my eyes towards the wall. All I'm doing here is just making sure my back is nice and solid. And I dig my lats in as well, okay? So it's about digging your lats into the bench. And that way you're not getting too much of a curve or an arch on your spine. And you just keep it nice and tight. Now I don't use any leg drive at all. You've seen that, and there'll be people you can lift heavier. It's not a leg exercise. I'm not looking for momentum. I want it to come from my delts, I want it to come from my chest especially, and of course triceps. So all I'm doing here is once I'm set up, I'll take, luckily I know this bar back to front, so I know where to put my hands, but all I'm doing here is I'm coming just outside of chest here. So as I lift up, I'm coming to this position here, grip it, and from my point of view, I grip the bar as hard as I possibly can. And I grip it harder and harder as it gets heavier, okay? Then all I'm doing here is I just dig, so I push down, I push against the bar, and all that is because the bar's heavy, it's got 100 kilos on it, that just digs my lats more into the bench. And then all I'm doing is as I lift it up, so we've got 100 kg on it at the moment, lift it up, then all I'm concentrating on doing here is just letting it down, keep the elbows tucked in, and then push. Okay, so as I bring it down, just to breathe in, and then breathe out as I push up. Okay, so just nice and controlled. Elbows get tucked in, they don't flare. And then push. If you want to try it more explosive, drop and push up again. Or if you want to be really, different types of reps you can do. So you can go to here, you can pause, count through for a couple of seconds, and push up again. It's just back on the bar. Okay? So breathing's important. As I said, I always take a grip, which is just outside, I can say outside your nipples, but literally just on the side of your chest here. That for me, because it's shoulder width, it allows me to get a better curling of the elbows, and without being flared, I'm not putting real undue stress on the anterior delts. By literally bringing my elbows in as much as I can do on that lift, what I'm then doing is I'm pushing through and bringing in those triceps as well. And if you're at this point here, the closer you get it to your body, and the more power you can get through the lift, of course, the easier the lift is going to be as well. So as I said, dig those lats in. That's why doing back's so important to your bench. Dig those lats in. Make sure the bar's nice and balanced. So as you saw, I do a little bit of a movement, just OCD more than anything else, but a little bit of movement on the bar. Grip, I really do grip as hard as I possibly can, just to make sure there's tension in my lift. So my back's under tension, my forearm's under tension, my arm's under tension because of that grip. Then as I bring it down to the chest, keep the elbows tucked in, down to midpoint of the chest, then push up and through. Remember, breathing's important. The more oxygen you get in, the more you're oxygenating your blood. Less important probably for power, boom, straight on through, but certainly if you're going to those kind of like 9, 10, 11 repetitions in a set, what I call cardio, and that kind of thing is going to be important. Okay, so that was 100 kilos there. What did we do? We demonstrated for about 4 or 5 reps. But yeah, decent weight. For a lot of you watching this video, this might be something that you're actually aiming for, 100 kilos, and it certainly was for me. I said I'm 47 years old now. I think I lifted 100 kilos, I want to say kind of like probably maybe 19, probably around that. It must have been about a year into my lifting, 18 months into my lifting. But yeah, it's a great weight. It is a great weight. But yeah, there was a time just before COVID when I got severe pneumonia and I was hospitalised for 5 weeks, where I came back. I went from 86 kilos down to 72 kilos, so I lost 14 kilos in hospital. 5 weeks, had to have keyhole surgery. Still not great training in the garage now after severe pneumonia 4 years down the line. Still short of breath, but I came back and I was unable to lift 60 kilos. So just imagine, like 5 weeks before, the day before I went into hospital with severe pneumonia, I was benching 140 kilos. Within 5 weeks, that dropped down to 60. And when I actually did that set of 60, I put 60 on the bar, struggled to do 3 or 4. The day after, DOMs like you wouldn't believe in the chest. And I don't get too much in the regards to like delayed onset muscle soreness in the chest. But oh my God, it was a murder. So yeah, literally I had to work from 60 kg all the way up. But because I worked on my programming, because I stuck to my 5x5 as much as I possibly could, what that meant was, I actually think I got back to about 120 kilos within a couple of months. I think it was about 3 months after kind of coming back from keyhole surgery, etc., having to take it a little bit easier. Yeah, went from doing 60 for 2 or 3 reps with absolute DOMs and pain and almost dropping to my chin to doing back to 120. So it's possible. Yes, there'll be a lot of muscle memory. Yes, I knew how to program it in and dial it in because I've got that experience, but yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So if you're chasing that bench PR, all I would say is start with the basics, start with the fundamentals. Now, just be careful of what you watch, and you might be thinking, well, I'm watching you. But what I mean by that is there's so much out there for you guys. When I started lifting, especially for you guys that are just starting, there was no social media. I learned how to bench from a gym instructor. I learned how to bench from people in the gym who just said, no, you've got to keep your elbows tucked in, you've got to push through, and yeah, do tricep extensions, do dips and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I didn't have social media, didn't even have the internet or anything. That's how old I am. But you guys now, you've got content getting thrown at you left, right and centre. But just remember, when it comes to chest, there's a few exercises you want to be doing. Yes, you've got barbell bench press. Yes, you've got dumbbell. Yes, you can go onto this bench and you can incline, you can decline, you can flat. Yep. There's also fly, so you can use cables to make sure that that lift is under tension as well. So there's a few, but fundamentally, right, you could get a cracking chest with great development, great strength, just by sticking with a flat barbell, incline dumbbell, flies with dumbbells as well, and a few other little things as well. So yeah, chest is easy. To be honest with you, look back at the likes of Arnie, Lou Ferrigno, look back at some others as well. Yeah, Sean Ray, I'm trying to think of any others, Dorian Yates, all of those guys were training in like the likes of Gold's and other spit and sawdust gyms. They were just doing fundamental compounds, and they were doing different lifts, but they weren't doing a million things that they'd seen on kind of social media, but it worked, and those guys were absolutely chiseled and dialed in. So stick to the basics, that's all I would say. Read up, but the most important thing is you've got to find what works for you. And as I said, thank you very much for all your comments, all your advice and everything as well. Really do it. And a lot of you have kind of swayed me thinking, right, I've got to mix up, I've got to introduce this. So it really does help, and you can teach an old dog new tricks. But as I said to you, find out what works for you, because what might work for someone with different genetics or different flexibility or whatever else might not work for you. But when you do find it, don't change it up every 2 or 3 weeks. Loads of people are like, oh, you need to be changing program every 2 or 3 weeks. Rubbish. Stick with it, 6, 7, 8 weeks, more, yeah? Get there until you get the results you want. And just make sure you're taking little kind of like, how can I say, signals from your body. If you're feeling tired, if you know you haven't eaten enough, make sure you eat better on the next session. There'll be some sessions where you feel absolutely rubbish. There'll be some sessions you walk away thinking, oh, this is never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I had a few. If you watch one of my videos, probably about 3 or 4 videos ago, I had an awful session. Like the first sets I did on 140, I thought 140 was going to fly up for 3. The first one stuck, the second one just went up, and I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? But actually all I did there was I was like, right, okay, I'm not going to work on trying to get how many I can get in a single set. I'm going to work on how many I can get in a single session. Yeah, and I honestly said, as I say, I'm going to go to heavy reps, so look out for that. That's going to be my next session. Then we're going to move on to dumbbells. And I honestly think the work that I've put in on this barbell, I'm going to be absolutely killing that 47.5. But we'll soon find out. It might be famous last words, it might be 2 or 3, and it might fall on my face. But other than that, have a look around. There's loads of things, certainly on social media. If you put in basics of bench press, you just want a video that lasts 3 or 4 minutes that talks to you about breathing, talks to you about just finding out correct positioning, correct posture on bench, etc., etc. But other than that, go after it. And as I always say, leave nothing on the bench, give it 110%. Stay healthy, enjoy the gym, stick with it. It will change your life. I'll catch you on the next one.